Into the good of this evening, and that is looking towards the Los Angeles Rams, who have missed their two star wide receivers for a large portion of this season. However, they are both back in town. They obviously beat the Vikings in, if you remember, on Thursday night last week, 30-20. And James, it just showed really what an offense this Rams team can be when you've got all your ultimate players around. And I sort of sent a text in our WhatsApp group to the guys going, this team is so totally different when they've got, and the same with Dolphins, it's so totally different when they've got like their actual players playing. And I know it's a really obvious statement, but like having Puka, Nacua and Kupp in this offense for the Rams, the dynamic just completely changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, much more balanced. I mean, Stafford looked as comfortable as he's looked all year, even, despite them still having guys missing on the line and stuff. But yeah, it's, like you say, it is very obvious, but your best players make your team better. And it's just, and I did wonder if the Vikings would still give them problems, but they didn't really look that uncomfortable. I know I think it was 14-14 at halftime, but the Rams seem fairly composed. I mean, the thing that having those two guys back is that they demand attention as soon as they're on the field. So that leaves spaces for other players. You had Stafford, I think it was 25 of 34, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he still had a pick. But you've had Kyren Williams, who rushed for 97, but also caught a touchdown pass. Demarcus Robinson caught 2 passes, caught 2 touchdown catches, sorry. And so just having those guys just takes attention away from others where it wasn't doing before. They felt very easy to cover beforehand, and the run game couldn't get going. Like I say, it just gave them a nice balance and a nice rhythm. And obviously, Stafford and Kupp have got much more familiarity than Stafford and Nacua have got, but they also, obviously Nacua still lit it up last year. So really good to see. We'll keep that division really interesting. I think they've still got a lot of in-division games left to play as well, so they've got a nice chance to push on a little bit more now. I mean, McVay said, there's an energy when they're on the field. There's a spark that they give to the rest of the team, and that was evident on Thursday night. And hopefully they can continue to stay healthy. If they can ease them back in rather than force them in on every down, then that'd be great. I'm not too sure of the Rams' upcoming schedule or what games they've got, but that hopefully, like I say, they don't need to force them in on every play, and can try and keep them for the rest of the season pretty healthy.
Well, they've got the Seahawks, the Dolphins, Patriots, Eagles, Saints, Bills, Niners, Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks again to finish out the season. So
it's
a bit of a tough
mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag of games there, but this was the first time they played together, Johnny, since week 1. Obviously, Kupp sprained his ankle in week 2, and Nacua, it was sort of rumoured he had a bit of a knee injury before the season started. It got aggravated in the first game. Didn't play ever since. Kupp didn't go on IR. He just remained out, much to the frustration of fantasy football players because they wanted that space for their players, including myself. So it's the first game they played together since the start of the season, where they went into overtime via the Lions, and them two were a big factor in that. And in this game, a big factor: Nacua 7 receptions, 106 yards. Kupp 5 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown against a good Vikings team. I know they've sort of back-to-back losses now with the Lions and the Rams. But really, the rumors were that because the Rams think this division's tough and maybe they should change it up. And then you see these two players come in, and you're just like, oh no, well this team is competent. Like they have got Sean McVay, who's a great offensive mind as well. Like this team shouldn't be something to be scoffed at when it's got all their guys fit, including Kyren Williams when he's running back as well, who's a great young prospect.
100%, yeah, I completely agree with James's point. It's no cliche to say when you've got your best players available and playing, you're more likely to be successful. And obviously looking back to Thursday night, I don't want to talk too much about the game because I think there's a lot more context around, the Rams. Obviously, the Vikings had a short week. Teams traveling east on a Thursday night on a short week tend not to do as well. I saw a stat that the Vikings haven't won a road Thursday game since 1978. I might just have to go and double check that because it sounds ridiculous. But yeah, the Rams obviously. I went with those sort of stats in picking my pick, but I think we were justified in terms of how well they played, and obviously Puka was, I think, the standout between the two players. He's someone that obviously we saw him get so many receptions last year. He appears all over the offense. He's so electric, and yeah, I think the rumors of potentially Cooper Kupp leaving, even Matthew Stafford as well, obviously, coming towards the end of his career. The Rams are still 3-4. There's still a long way to go. But as long as they keep their players, and I think the game on Sunday against the Seahawks is where, that's a real divisional mega clash. Another team that are in a bit of a precarious position that we don't really know where to position them in our power rankings. The Seahawks obviously started brilliantly and have sort of, gone down a little bit of the last few weeks, whereas the Rams revival with their new offensive players coming back, I can certainly see them going on a little bit of a run. I think the NFC is obviously really difficult. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They are probably, an outsider in terms of, the teams that we expect to be in the playoffs, the likes of the Lions. You could say the 49ers, obviously they're back to winning ways. The Eagles are looking good. Teams like the Bears, obviously they lost on Sunday, but Commanders as well. Teams, I think we can safely say that we're not positioning the Rams right at the top of our power rankings at the moment. But I think with their best players back and such a young team and with the great head coach, they're only going to get better after such a dismal start. So I'm all here for the Rams. I think I love Sean McVay. I think he's a great head coach and someone I think a lot of players around the league would love to play for. And as long as they can keep the likes of Kupp and Stafford, obviously, and other key players around, the offensive line have managed to find something with, this seemingly for the last few years, it's been not at full strength. So yeah, as long as they can keep the key personnel around, I think they'll be there or thereabouts, particularly in, a division which is still quite wide open with, the 49ers are obviously still the juggernaut in the West, but are in a little bit of a down year.
Yeah, James, what's your aspect of the Kupp thing? Because it has been heavily. I mean, the Stafford room, I feel like has been an underlying thing, whereas the Kupp thing has been like all over social media. The Rams teams are calling, especially my Pittsburgh Steelers apparently have called them a few times about Kupp. He's 31 years old. He's what he's been in this league 8 years now. Fantastic career. Drafted in 2017. 7,264 yards on his career, 53 touchdowns, been a juggernaut for the Rams considering it's such a low draft pick. And really, when then you see him in this sort of game, yes, Nacua is clearly the future, but I think it takes the both of them. I think it does take the both of them for this to work. So surely now, after seeing them back together on the field now, if the Rams, they had maybe a slight doubt in their mind whether they would keep Kupp, surely this has sort of solidified them going, no, we need these two guys because we could still make the playoffs this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was just looking at the division. You've got the Cardinals, 49ers and Seahawks all 4-4 and the Rams at 3-4. So, it is super, super wide open. You win that Seahawks game at the weekend and you can flip things around. It does take them both to work. I think you're right. And I can't understand if you are Kupp when you've got that relationship with Stafford, a pretty good relationship with Puka Nacua as well. It seems like the guys all gel really well. why you would want to jump ship now. Okay, maybe you only leave if you're going to go to a franchise that looks like it's right on the cusp, and you can, maybe get yourself another ring in the next year or two. I don't know what teams would be willing to give up. Obviously, he's a top talent, but he is getting older, like you said, at 31. You would think that the Rams would want a decent draft pick for him still. You're not going to get him for a fifth or anything like that. It's going to be something pretty high. You're not just going to pull the rug from under the Rams. They're a pretty savvy organization, and I think you've got time to turn it around this year and make a bit of a run. So I would be surprised if it happened. But obviously, this is football, and expect the unexpected, if you like. But I just don't see, like, I'm not being, too derogatory toward the Steelers or anything, but I don't see that as a much more of a progressive move because of the division they're in. It's difficult. They're in a division at the moment that's still, as Johnny said, wide open. So why not see if you can just go on a little streak now? If you beat the Seahawks at the weekend, this will be the interesting thing. They play the Seahawks in probably 2 days before the deadline. How many reps he gets will give you an indication, in my mind, as to what they plan on doing with Kupp. If he plays the game, I would imagine that he's going to stay. If he's taking little reps here and there, there's a good chance that they are looking to shop him in and see what's about. But I don't know, it's a strange one. It's one of the stranger ones that I've heard. And I'd sort of, based on how they played the other day and keeping the NFC interesting, I hope he stays.
Yeah, I think you're right in that sort of, like, if it was a sideways move. I mean, it could be an organizational thing. It might not be a him thing. It's an organizational thing. But I think when these two are on the field together, they are, maybe one of the top wide receiver duos in the league. Like, you can't take that away from them by no means.